too. Sipping and roasting, yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all. That sounds like a party just about to begin, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. We are here for show number 398. Do you realize what that means?
That's amazing. Well, that's the exact halfway point to 500.
Right. And it's just, I mean, it kind of blows my mind that we've made it there. And no one has stepped in to stop us.
We've been doing this for a while now. I feel like we might get good at this if we're not careful.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry.
Don't jinx it.
I'm not really concerned that that's going to happen.
Thank you guys all out there for listening.
Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We do all enjoy those things. And we hope you do too.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we hope you do too. On today's program, we'll talk about the best bars in the United States. Food and Wine did a listing of what they consider to be the 15 best bars in the United States. So I'm excited to break this open.
It's interesting when you get lists like that about best bars, and best restaurants, because I notice on those lists it's almost always really expensive ones.
Well, I was just about to say, where cocktails are $22 and, stuff like that.
You're not tipping down to Lola's in Houston and getting the Purple People Eater shot.
Come on.
That's a real
Lola's
thing.
Needs to be on this list, is all I'm saying. It's
one of the best dives that exists.
On this list, yes. But in any case, we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about finally, it's here. It's coming. It's not here yet. It's coming. Dungeons and Dragons beer.
Oh.
Now, are you a D&D guy? Did you play?
I did when I was younger.
Yeah, I never actually did, but I had so many friends that were like way into it.
And I feel like this could help my berserker cause.
Yeah, I believe it probably could. This beer could definitely be.
Because the beers I like generally have like a +2 or a +3 to cloak of inebriation,
yes, right? I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. So we'll tell you about this Dungeons and Dragons beer, and it comes from a very reputable brewery too. So that makes it even better.
All right, can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, so excited about that. We will talk about some cigars. We'll talk about some whiskey. We'll talk about maybe even sampling a little bit of craft beer, a little bit of tequila today from Wiley Roots Brewing Company out of Greeley, Colorado. Not Greenlee, but Greeley, Colorado. We'll be sampling their out-of-office lager. I think that's
out of office?
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's absolutely perfect. And then from one of my favorite breweries, we have not had these guys on since their name was accurate. Their name is no longer accurate. They're out of San Francisco, California. The name of the brewery is Bare Bottle Brewing Company.
Bare Bottle Brewing.
Yes, and we've had some amazing beers from them on the show in the past. Haven't had any in quite a while, and it's largely because their name is now incorrect because they're now in cans.
They're now in cans. Bare Bottle comes in cans.
Right.
I thought maybe a bear was no longer bottling it.
That would be a thing. Yeah. That would be a thing. If a bear was bottling the beer, you'd just stay with bottles. You wouldn't be like, I don't care how much more expensive it is than cans.
He came from Ringling Brothers when it ended, and now he's retiring.
That's like driving on a parkway and parking on a driveway.
Yeah, that's right. And driving on a parkway. Bare Bottle Brewing Company out of San Francisco will be tasting their hazy IPA called Secret Truth of the Universe.
I love that.
Yeah, and these guys know how to make IPAs. I mean, they've been making them forever. So, and then from Brenham, Texas, the place where Bluebell ice cream is from.
Yes.
We'll be trying a beer from the Brazos Valley Brewing Company. It is called Big Spoon.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I've seen some of the Brazos Valley beers here in town in stock, but I haven't tried that one.
The Big Spoon is a Tres Leches Imperial Stout.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So for anybody that has not, been to a restaurant that serves tres leches as a dessert. Tres leches, it basically means 3 milks, and it's a very sort of milk-soaked piece of cake.
It's delicious.
And it's wonderful.
And can I say, actually,
and rum usually too.
I know it's usually a restaurant thing or but they have this thing called crumble cookies. I don't know if you've heard of crumble cookies, but it's the rage.
Yeah.
And so I went there the other day because the girls wanted to hey, let's go have cookies. We want crumble cookies. So we went over to Crumble to try these things out. And they actually on the menu had a tres leches. It wasn't a cookie. It was actually a cake.
Actually, a piece of cake. Yeah.
Really good.
Oh yeah, tres leches
really
is
good.
wonderful.
I was surprised at a cookie store.
Yeah, I remember there used to be a restaurant here in Houston called America's, and America's served like Brazilian and Latin cuisine, and they had a tres leches cake that was out
that
of
place
this
was
world.
outrageous. Anyway, it was so good.
So good. Yes, and great Latin inspired drinks.
Did you
too.
ever have a steak there?
I did, in fact, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I just realized? One of the things we like to do in our first segment here is we like to bring you the beverage of mystery, and we like to have an opportunity for us to sample this. The only person that knows what it is the person what brung it, and today the what brung it is me, but I actually left it in the fridge. Ooh. So can you entertain the folks for a moment?
I'll do the best I can while you go pour.
Okay. All right, maybe play a little something on ukulele.
A little soft shoe.
I want to sing I want to spring and a song. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that.
Thank you, Bugs Bunny. I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
That's right. Oh, man. I can actually start my cigar review. That sounds like a fun thing.
Yeah.
So this morning, I went over to Casa de Monte Cristo, as I want to do, and picked up the new Sencillo Platinum. Now, Sencillo's a company that I haven't had too many cigars from. As a matter of fact, I've only had one other cigar, and it was fantastic. Those look slightly frozen, sir.
They are slightly frozen. I'll explain in a moment.
All right. Better. So, but anyway, I picked this up because I've had the Sencillo Black, which I rated highly because it's fantastic. I picked up a Sencillo Platinum, and it's a 4.5 by 50 Robusto Honduran Puro. Doesn't that sound good? With a Habano Hamastran wrapper and binder with also in the filler, but with Piloto Cubano added to the filler. The appearance on this light brown wrapper, smooth and oily with some veins, medium firmness, silver and black band. The actually, so I wrote that down before I took the bands off. It's actually 2 bands, one's silver, one's black. And then the pre-light sniff on this, earthy and sweet with baking spices, pre-light draw, V-cut. It had kind of a tight draw to it. Sweet, creamy coffee and nuts, salted caramel, and fresh cut hay, little leather and spice on the lips. The initial light on this blast of big, earthy, nutty spices with an underlying donut-like sweetness. The retrohale is red pepper spicy and vanilla sweet with a hint of barnyard. The first third of this starts off with rich baking spices, earth and nuts. Traces of red pepper and cayenne are balanced by fresh baked donut and sweet creamy coffee. Retrohale is sweet and spicy, solid ash, perfect burn.
Nice.
The proposed pairing on this, after the first third of this, I started thinking what would go well with this, because it's got some spicy, but it's also got that baking spice to it. And I thought espresso martini.
Ooh, nice.
And I thought Negroni.
Love an espresso martini right about now.
And I thought Talisker.
Ooh, Talisker.
Because I was trying to think of what whiskey would go well with this, and going through the whiskey Rolodex in my mind.
Sounds like a country song. The whiskey Rolodex in my mind.
I love that.
That would be
write that.
That would be a Willie Nelson album title, wouldn't it?
Right. Anyway, but Talisker, because Talisker's got that little blend of sweetness and salty salt air, and it's so good. Anyway, the second third of this, I'm going to start talking about whiskey if I'm not careful. The second third of this cigar, blend of spices, fishtails between lingering heat with red pepper and cayenne and sweet, creamy coffee and donuts. Touches of leather and barnyard weave throughout. The retrohale is sweet and spicy with lingering cayenne, solid ash, perfect burn. The last third of this cigar, spices and sweetness remain constant. Nuttiness kind of ramps up a little bit. The retrohale is spicy and sweet with a touch of cayenne, solid ash, perfect burn. This cigar comes in at $8.50.
Not bad.
Solid 7. I'll be buying
Solid
a box.
7. Wow.
I will be buying a box of these. They were so outrageously good, and I love the black as well. So,
All right, cool. I love it. Let's.
so Senseo, so good. So
I'll,
you brought out the beverage of mystery, which is a slushy.
So I actually had stuck this in the freezer, and
The beverage of mystery.
so maybe swirl it around a little bit.
Slushy of mystery.
It kind of is. Well, I wanted it to be nice and cold because one thing I've noticed about the beverages of mystery is that most of them are better when they're really cold.
Yeah,
All right, well,
they
I'm going to
really
do
are.
I'm going to do the Ronald Reagan mixing thing where I just stick my finger
there
in
you
there.
go. There you
Did
go.
Ronald Reagan do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently he liked
like-
Negronis. There's a company
Yeah.
that makes what they call the Negroni finger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a stir that has a cast of his finger on the end.
Wow.
Yeah, my friend Rowdy Yates loves to stir a whiskey and Coke with his finger. That's
There you go.
That's how he does it.
There you go.
That's how he likes it. So, all right. So these may be cold and a little
Sounds like
slushy.
that would have been different for 007, though. I'll just stir it with my finger.
That's not your finger. Okay, so we have a pretty cold beverage mystery here. I did bring this one in, so I'm the only one that knows what it is. But I'd like you guys to notice that I'm remaining consistent in my quest to bring you really colorful beverages mystery.
This color
This-
of blue
This is a very icy blue.
Yeah.
only happens in the
electric
deepest
blue.
It's
of-
very
of-
tropical blue, and it smells tropically blue as well.
It does actually smell tropical, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
smells tropically blue. If
Now-
this is what blue smells like, my friends.
I hate to say this, but you know what? I'm wondering if the iciness of it actually does make it even better.
Well, I will give you guys a little hint about me. You know, I like my beer cold.
Yes.
Yeah, even though you're supposed to have it more like room temperature. My favorite for beer is when it's just cold enough you pour it in that frosty glass and it gets the little ice crystals on the top.
crystals.
I
Yes.
love
Yes.
that. Now, I don't want it to be completely iced over.
yeah.
Then you lose the flavor.
That's funny because that's
Just
the
a
thing
few
I
little.
hate about icy glasses.
Oh,
really?
I love it. I love it.
I'm on cruises. I like that. I want my stuff
like
to be so cold.
It reminds me of the Reverend Horton Heat song, Martini Time, where he says, make it with a layer of ice this time. That's great too, you know? So this is very interesting, very tropical, as you said.
It's enjoyable.
So it's carbonated. That's fun.
Yeah.
It's fruity, but not incredibly sweet. I mean, it's sweet, but it's not.
I'm not getting too much of that aftertaste.
I'm not
getting any
either.
artificial
And I'm
thing
kind of
like that.
liking the icy of it.
Yeah, this worked out pretty well.
feel
And
like
this
that
really
helped it.
tastes like a blue icy kind
Yeah,
of,
it does.
especially because it has
Oh, I didn't think of that, but
Yeah.
you're right. If you ever get the blue
really does.
icy
Blue
at
raspberry.
7-Eleven,
I had
yeah.
one not too long ago. Because I'm 5.
I don't know what this is, but this
Like
is
a blue slush puppy.
I will say this is
yes.
drinkable.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a weird aftertaste from it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you get an aftertaste, kind of like a Kool-Aid, just sugary and sweet,
Right,
but
right.
not.
It is a little. Oh yeah, I'll do the big reveal. The big reveal.
I
Otherwise
hate what that
known
guy
as.
does to my house every time.
Otherwise known as, is that a beverage of mystery in your pocket? Are you happy to see me? This, and I'm sorry I bent the can up a little bit, is a Seagram's Escapes Calypso Colada.
Calypso Colada.
It says natural pineapple and coconut flavors, contains alcohol. It's only 3.2%.
I get 0 pineapple or coconut. It
Yeah.
really tastes like blue raspberry to me.
I love blue
Yeah.
raspberry. And quite frankly, I
Okay,
really
so-
like this.
So if I let the aftertaste linger a little bit, I do kind of get a little coconut.
Yeah.
But I
That's
don't-
where you get it. At the very end. After you've let it sit
Right,
there.
right. It
have
comes
to
in
let it
late.
sit there,
It
yeah.
comes in late. It does not make me think of a pina colada, though.
It does not make me think
No.
of that at all. It is, however,
But it's good.
yeah, it tastes okay. It's coming in at 3.2, so
Yeah.
sessionable, if you will.
Does make me think of getting caught in the rain, but we'll take a break anyway, and we'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. It's show number 398, and we are very glad that you are here.
And now it's time for another Smoking and Toasting Drinking Fact.
I was so thrilled that I found another cache of these, by the way, these drinking facts, so that we can keep this going and I can continue to hear that fanfare on every show for a while. Yeah. Your drinking fact for show number 398. This is true. Back in 2017, in Maryland, a group of students consumed so much alcohol during a house party that the air inside of the house was recorded as positive on a breathalyzer.
He just turned on the breathalyzer and it said yes.
Wow.
Absolutely true drinking fact. Yes, absolutely.
It went off like a Geiger counter.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now I've lived in Maryland, and what I would say in response to this story is so completely not surprised.
People drink in Maryland.
So
Can you imagine
completely
being
not
the
surprised.
officer that was like, hey, I'm just going to need you to, oh my goodness, this thing's just, I haven't even got it to your mouth
It's
yet.
like if you have a Geiger counter and you're on your way, and all of a sudden it goes all the way into the red. You're like, I'm gonna die. So, yeah. Well, there you go. That is your smoking a toast and drinking fact for show number 398.
That was a successful party, is what we call that.
That's right. How was the party? Oh, dude. That absolutely worked. Well, let me segue from that to telling you about my cigar that I smoked this week. I smoked the All Saints Cigars St. Francis Robusto.
I haven't even heard of this
The
thing.
All Saints St. Francis was actually named the Cigar of the Year by Cigar Authority in 2021. It's produced in Rocky Patel's Tavicusa Cigar Factory in Nicaragua using an Ecuadorian Oscuro wrapper over Nicaraguan binder and filler. It's a very attractive cigar, as you'll see in the picture here. Severely box pressed, classy bands, and a smooth outer wrapper. The pre-light sniff on this baby. Barnyard. Hay. Barnyard, hints of earth, and barnyard.
A little bit of barnyard going on.
It was intense. Now, it wasn't unpleasant. We've talked about barnyard before.
barnyard's a great smell.
Yeah, it wasn't a little. It was not at all unpleasant, but it was definitely barnyard. Yeah, little toast added to that on the cold draw. I used a punch cutter and I added some fire to the equation, and the St. Francis settled into a groove very quickly. No Nicaraguan pepper blast. Now, I will get to the pepper in a moment, but on the first few puffs, what I got was more like peanut butter and chocolate. Like this was going to be the Reese's Pieces of cigar smoking. It wasn't quite that pronounced, but it was very pleasant to smoke. Notes of leather and hay worked their way into the mix during the first third of the cigar, and about a half an inch in, here came the pepper.
Oh,
And it was black pepper. And lots of it.
it was like a pepper grenade.
Yeah.
You had to count
Well,
to 3 or something.
on the tongue and on the retrohale was where the pepper, you would get that tingly pepper sensation on the tongue and on the retrohale. Was not enough to put me off, but then again, I do like peppery cigars, so there's that. By the second third, the pepper was dominant, but the smoke also left a little bit of saltiness on the palate after each puff. Reminded me a little bit of when I was a kid, my mom would make boiled eggs. And she'd, let us have boiled eggs to eat. And I would get a little saucer and I would just put salt and pepper in the saucer. And then I would
Dip your
dip the egg
into it,
in
yeah.
that and eat it. That's what it reminded me of, that combination of a lot of pepper with some salt as well. It was, caramel.
Without the egginess, though.
Yeah,
right?
right. It didn't get any of that. Barnyard, yes. Egg, no. Caramel emerged, and the salted caramel notes in the cigar went perfectly with my ice-cold glass of Bigelow salted caramel tea.
Nice.
I can't say that the burn was razor straight, but then, you know what? I don't need it to be razor straight. I just need it to not burn too crookedly.
Right.
And the All Saints St. Francis Robusto did a very nice job there. Thank you very much. No touch-ups or issues. All the way down to the nub. By the way, if you want to pair it with something stronger than iced tea, I would suggest a smooth tequila, like a Herradura Reposado, or maybe a snifter of El Amo and Anejo would work. Still more pepper in the final third, and a chocolate note. By the time this cigar was smoking, by this time, rather, the cigar was smoking very much like a Nicaraguan after starting much more mellow. And it was already up to just a notch above medium to full by the final third. I looked up a few online reviews of the St. Francis, and they all seem to be quite positive, with one reviewer even going so far as to say, cigars like this are why we smoke cigars.
Oh, nice.
That's a pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree. This is a very enjoyable smoke with just enough nuance to keep me interested, and a lot of my favorite notes that I've enjoyed in other cigars. I'm going to stop just short of naming it Cigar of the Year, but it really was quite good, and I will be looking for this one again. The All Saints St. Francis Robusto, which is a long Robusto, by the way, almost the length of a Toro. It's a $9 to $10 cigar. Worth it? I think so, absolutely. I will give it a solid 5. And if you find it for anything less than $9 a stick, go for it for sure. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. And thanks for everything you did in that segment, by the way. That was awesome.
Man, I got you.
All right, we'll return to Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. Are you in the incredible shrinking chair?
I'm in the incredible shrinking chair.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I like that. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We want to say thanks, by the way, to our sponsor for the show beer this week is, once again, Eureka Heights. Ian and I both enjoying a little bit of their 713 Pilsner as we just do a little palate cleanse and get ready for...
It says this crispy little Pilsner is perfect for swimming through the humidity on your way to crush some tacos. We use the fanciest Pilsner malt and noble hops to keep things classy.
And we have reviewed this on the program before, but today it's just our show beer, so we're loving it.
It's got an angry looking mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got on cowboy boots.
Because that's what mosquitoes do.
And he's carrying a taco.
I like it. If you're going to be an angry mosquito, that's the way to do it. That's the way to go about it. On today's program, we will bring you the most popular segment on Smoking and Toasting. That is the segment we've been doing for a number of years now called Drinking News. Our Drinking News teaser headline for you today. Is that a pothole in the road? Or are you just happy to see me? And we'll get to that coming up. And you know, Drinking News is where we bring you stories from the news. They're real stories, real things that happen. They're not from parody sites like The Onion. They're things that are actually happening in the news, and we do our best to try to verify.
When I started the last segment, I believe that this microphone was kind of at chin level, and now it's at nose level.
Yeah. Do whatever you need to do over there. But whatever it is, make sure you can still pour the out-of-office lager, which is our first beer we're tasting on the program today. By the way, I didn't mention this, but we're also going to be tasting an Anejo tequila today. It's the Santera Tequila Anejo, not to be confused with the Santeria Tequila Anejo, which is a totally different thing.
Or the Santana, which is a musician.
Yeah, which is just awesome. Anytime you bring him up, I have to say that he's awesome. Carlos Santana, one of the most underrated guitarists of our time.
That guy's amazing.
He really is. He really is. So this is an interesting can. This is from Wiley Roots Brewing Company out of Greeley, Colorado. I don't believe we've ever had anything from Wiley Roots on the program before. I don't know if Wiley Roots is, I don't know if that's a family name or if it's like Wiley Coyote. I don't know.
They don't
but I love
have
the can.
much information about it on the can. But the can is awesome.
The can is awesome. If you look at that, it just puts you right in the mood that this beer is wanting you to get into, that out of office mood. I love it.
It's got like a national park looking sign that says out of office lager and a guy walking down a trail.
So out of office is like one of the last respites in our society, right? We're connected all the time. We're constantly, able to be reached by email or text or whatever. But when you put that out of office notice up on your email, right? When anybody that emails you gets that automatic "I'm out of the office" reply, that's when you're truly free, my friends. That's at least how I see it.
There is that. I'm also sometimes surprised that we call these things phones.
Yeah.
Because the least amount of time spent on this device is talking to people directly.
Well, if you're under the age of about 25, you probably never even use it at all for that. It's all texting and
and if
posting.
you do, you just call through Snapchat.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Have you tasted this yet?
I did.
I have, and I found it very enjoyable.
I like the flavor. I like the flavor a lot. I find it a little bit flat, but not off-putting.
So you would want more carbonation.
I think just a touch more carb would pop this up just another level, but it tastes great. Like the flavor profile is really good.
I figured that, at least to taste, this seems like it doesn't have a very high ABV. Does it say on there?
Coming in at 5%.
5%? Well, that's more than I was expecting, to be honest with you.
I like it. It has a very classic lager.
Yes, it is. It is. But that doesn't mean that it tastes like a Miller Lite.
No.
You know?
And in some ways, it's interesting because like this doesn't have a whole lot of other character than straight up lager beer. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of good because of that.
Yeah, it's not trying to be some overly hoppy or some hybrid thing, or it's just trying to be a good, crisp, clean lager.
Yeah, and it's doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, Wiley Roots out of Greeley, Colorado. American lager, it says brewed with barley and flaked rice.
Huh. There's a little Christmas to the back end of it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It says keep cold, enjoy fresh, 1 pint.
See, and if I ask somebody, hey, I want something a little more malty, this would be a good choice, you know? I'm always amazed at, like, when I go to a bar and you would think the bartenders know what beers they have, and you say, do you have anything malty? Because, of course, everything else is an IPA. And they go, well, we have this IPA. And I'm like,
yeah, no.
You're kind of on the other side of the spectrum.
But there are some bartenders that are very good. I will say that.
Agreed.
That do know their stuff. But yeah, it's always a little disappointing when I'm bothered when I go to a restaurant and the beers are not listed on the menu. So I ask the waiter, what beers do you have? And they don't know.
Yeah.
Let me go and check with it. And then they come back and they go, we have Hopadillo. I go, keep checking. Keep checking.
You know who I was impressed with? The Houston Zoo actually had some good. They had like Lawnmower Ale there.
Oh, nice!
At the Houston Zoo, yeah.
They actually have. The Houston Zoo's pretty nice because they actually have St. Arnold's.
They had St. Arnold's stuff. It was
booths there. So
but just in the regular cafeteria, I saw it. Yeah,
because I don't only want to be that customer that complains. So when I go someplace and they do have a really nice beer selection, like it's a little different if that's something they're supposed to be known for.
Yeah.
But if you just go to like a restaurant and you're like, oh, wow, they've got like a couple of very interesting beers on this menu. Yeah. I will always say something and thank them because I know they went that extra step instead of just letting their Anheuser-Busch rep say, oh, yeah, we got you covered. Well,
that's Buffalo Wild Wings right there.
Yeah, well, that's what Buffalo Wild Wings does.
Buffalo Wild Wings has like 21 taps and 2 beers on it that I will drink.
Yeah, and one of those is Sam Adams.
Yeah, one's Sam Adams and one's Shiner Bock.
Yeah, right. It's like, come on, I don't care about that big stuff Buffalo in your commercials. You need to do a better job on your taps. I'm sorry, you just do.
Large draft horses are cool, but I'm not drinking them.
Exactly. So there was the North American Bourbon and Whiskey Competition recently.
All right.
And only 3 whiskeys won Best of Show for 2024.
Only 3.
Only 3. So I'm going to share those 3 with you right now. 1792 Full Proof.
Oh, I've got a bottle of that at the house.
It's bottled at 125 proof.
I should probably bring that in.
You probably should. I don't think we've had that on the show. Is it the full proof? The one you got? Oh, okay. And I can tell by the look on your face. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, that's a pretty good stuff.
I haven't even opened it yet.
Yeah,
it's a little hard to find that particular one. You can find a 1792 all day,
right?
But finding the full proof is a little bit like when you see it, you should snap it up.
Yeah. So that was one of the whiskeys that won the top, the top award, the Best of Show.
Deservedly, that's a great whiskey.
The second one is King's Family Distillery Ryconic. Are you familiar with this?
I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of it.
It scored a 95. It's about a $75 bottle. It says King's Family Ryconic is part of the award-winning lineup from the King's Family Distillery. It is a season release. It is what they call a top-shelf rye whiskey, aged in 2 separate barrels before being bottled. Mash bill contains a bold 95% rye, and it's barreled at approximately 112 proof.
It's going to be spicy.
It is going to be spicy with that much rye. So they don't list any official tasting notes, but the notes from First Fill Spirits are as followed. There's dill there, but surrounded by coconut and marshmallows with more of a s'more quality.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so very, very interesting. So, and then they mentioned it's spicier, obviously, with lemon, lime, pepper, and charred oak spice. So fascinating. That's the second of the best of show whiskeys, and the third one is Uncle Nearest 1856 premium aged whiskey.
That's a great whiskey.
Yeah, and you have had this one, I take
I have. That's $80 a bottle. So
yeah, I think you may even be able to get it for a little less
$80 a bottle.
than that. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I've been hearing a lot about Uncle Nearest lately.
There's a story behind it. Uncle Nearest was
Right.
apparently the guy who taught.
Jack Daniels?
Was that it?
I think so.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's right. But yeah, the whiskey is fantastic.
That sounds right. I saw a story about that. It was really interesting about him, helping Jack Daniels learn that stuff.
Right,
Really.
and I've had two out of their line, and both of them were fantastic.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And, you can find some good Jack Daniels, too, as long as you go past the old number 7.
Well, all of Jack Daniels is fantastic as soon as you get past old number 7. All of it's great.
So, anyway, I thought that was interesting, though. Only 3 whiskeys made the Best in Show award. And I think it's usually like, 7 or 8, 9.
That's a list, though, that I agree 100% with. All three of those are great picks.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm glad we were able to cover that. Then.
Well, I'm assuming the second one's a great pick. I haven't tried that one, but the other two are definitely great picks.
My best guess is that it probably is not too bad. By the way, you know how when somebody like gets a court ruling and finally the court comes through and rules and you're like, okay, thank God that's settled and it's over now. And then they appeal. The FDA has sued to overturn the designation of premium cigars not being included in their FDA oversight. They've just made their opening arguments in their appeal to, even though it was already decided that they couldn't do that, their appeal to regulate premium cigars.
This sounds like a child stamping his foot and yelling "do-over."
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. But it was apparently a good day in court for the cigar industry for the first day of opening arguments, and a rather difficult one for the FDA. The Food and Drug Administration made their opening arguments in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. They are hoping to overturn the previous judgment that voided their authority over the premium cigar industry, but the court, according to this report out of Cigar Aficionado, didn't appear to find much of the FDA's argument compelling.
So how somebody's got to be putting some money behind that, and somebody has to have some pretty, how do you hate cigars that much?
Right.
If
Also,
you're not a cigar smoker, why do you even care about cigars? And why do you care about people that smoke cigars?
But aren't most cigars not even made in America? So
Correct.
what that
Correct.
the actual manufacturing of them can't be overseen by the FDA.
Right.
So,
And it's the sales that they're trying to they're trying to make a case for it being not healthy and that it could be harmful to kids who every study has shown are not smoking.
yeah, I have a
cigars. Don't
13-year-old and a
smoke
14-year-old, and they're always talking about smoking cigars in the music and all the stuff they talk about cigars. All that. Come on, no kids in junior high or in high school ever care about
Have you
a
ever
cigar.
walked
It's all
up-
about vaping these days, to be honest.
have you ever walked?
It
right?
really is.
Yeah, vaping is a big issue. Vaping is a huge issue.
is the huge issue.
Have you ever walked
nobody's
up to
smoking
a cigar
cigars in high
shop?
school.
And I'm not talking about a head shop that sells a few cigars.
Yeah.
And most of those are acids. I'm talking about an actual cigar shop. Have you ever walked up to a cigar shop and someone underage is like, "Hey man,
Yeah.
could you just get me a Monte Cristo or something?"
Judge,
when I say that out loud, it sounds.
It does.
the
But
judge,
this is what they're trying to say. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There you find Jay and Silent Bob outside of a.
the attorney for the FDA said, if premium cigars are carved out from regulation, they're not subject to any of these FDA authorities. You could then have people handing out free samples and putting them in vending machines, and the federal minimum age of sales rules don't apply. It's a fundamental question
Wait a
about
second.
regulation.
Cigarettes are in vending machines.
Just seems to me, the
Yeah,
judge
but when was
said,
the last time you actually saw a cigarette vending machine?
There's a bar that I go to pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Although it's $12 a pack.
Wow.
That right there will do more to curb smoking than any regulation you want to come up with.
$12 a pack.
The judge said, just seems to me the things you're saying we should be worried about are probably not really worrisome. They're not selling premium cigars in vending machines. They're luxury products. Some of these cigars are very expensive. And then Powell, the attorney, argued that infrequent use does not negate danger and the risks were properly explained by the FDA. And these are incredibly dangerous products, she insisted. And the judge responded, wasn't that the question you were supposed to answer? Accusing the attorney of having a circular argument. Yeah. So anyway, it wasn't a particularly good day for the anti-smoking.
These products are dangerous to who?
Yeah.
Are they dangerous to me? Because I'm a grown-up and I can do whatever I want. You know what's dangerous? Driving a car is dangerous.
You know what else is dangerous? Mayonnaise.
You know what?
You
know what's really interesting, too, is that I think we've gone a different way maybe in the government than it once was, because I'll watch these things on the History Channel sometimes, and they'll be talking about, presidents in the early 1900s and in the 1800s and all these rich people like, J.P. Morgan and, Vanderbilt and all that. In almost every one of those, they all have cigars. In at least one scene, they all have cigars.
Yeah.
This is
Bill Clinton was known to have a cigar.
He was.
These are the people that ran and created the country, and they all had cigars.
I still say Clinton, after he got out of office, should have launched his own line of cigars. I would have bought one. Specially aged,
Especially aged.
Sure. Why not? Why wouldn't you? All right, we got to take a break, and we will return for more of this silliness. Smoking and Toasting is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And when we come back, we'll be tasting another beer, this time from the Bare Bottle Brewing Company, The Secret Truth of the Universe.
That sounds amazing.
I love that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We're on show number 398, which means we are officially halfway to 500.
I was going to crack a beer open while you were talking just to get the sound effect, and I realized that I was on autopilot, and I did that earlier.
You did it during the break.
I prematurely opened the beer. I heard it happens when I get older. That's going to be a thing, but
you're just going to go to people's house and open their bears? Is that what you're telling me?
Prematurely open the beer.
Dude, don't invite Ian to the party. Last time he opened all my beers. That would suck, right? You got all these beers in your fridge because it's for a party, and you're not going to drink all of them at the party, so you're going to have this leftover fridge nicely stocked with beer, and somebody opens them all.
So the TABC laws around here are when you buy a bucket of beer, they have to crack open every one of them.
Oh yeah, which is weird. I've never understood that.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
TABC is always been hilarious to me.
The laws are very strange.
Can you imagine if the food, it is the Food and Drug Administration, if they regulated food the same way, like when you bought a bucket of chicken, that they had to take a bite out of every piece?
Right.
Just to make sure it's
Somebody's been nibbling on my Colonel Sanders here. We've all heard of New Holland Brewing Company out of Michigan. They're the people who do the Dragon's Milk line of beers in collaboration now with leading toy and game company Hasbro and its Wizards of the Coast division. New Holland Brewing Company is announcing,
of course it has to be them, it's awesome,
that they're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the world's greatest role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons. And there's an expansion coming, which includes a limited edition D20 Brew Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout and an original mead cask bourbon whiskey, all celebrating Dungeons and Dragons.
How much is that?
Both beverages will be available at select retailers, including New Holland Brewing retail locations, and at dragonsmilk.com/DND starting in November. I don't think there's a price listed, but they do talk about, and they've got these.
Now,
really
the New
cool
Holland, the Dragon's Milk is great, by the way.
It really is, yes.
And, but they have some versions of it that are getting pretty expensive.
Yes, because of the way they've aged them
and stuff like that. Yeah,
and I'm guessing this one's not going to be cheap. But if you played Dungeons and Dragons when you were growing up, you're probably like a Fortune 500 CEO at this point, and you got the money to be able to afford those.
I'm not a Fortune 500 CEO.
You're not?
One of those things.
I thought you were.
No. Oddly enough.
You know, D&D was huge in the last episode of the last season of Stranger Things.
Right,
yeah,
I
it was
remember
all
that.
about that. Yeah,
and they're going to do a final season, right?
Yes, one more season, they say.
Yeah.
When that season is done, I'll start watching Stranger Things.
Yeah, well, they say that's going to be the last one because then they're
Well,
just
it'll be
going to be
interesting
old.
to see if you, like me, bail after season 2.
So I watched
that's what I
season
did.
1, and that's as far as I've gotten.
Season 1 I enjoyed. Season 2 I didn't enjoy enough to go for season 3. That was
Okay.
just me, but it's still
All right.
wildly popular. It's just me.
I have to say this though,
Yeah.
the fact that you stopped there, you really did miss some good seasons because season 3 is good. This is when they start getting into the Starcourt Mall and all those. Like season 3 was the 4th of July one with what's his name from the Princess Bride.
Carrie Elways?
Yeah, Carrie Elways is in there. He's the mayor and he's a corrupt mayor that's hilarious. And then the next one is the one with the Starcourt Mall. And you know, they're actually they arguably are better.
This is where our listeners are going, man, I love this show. I learned so much about cigars.
Is this what I sound like when I say things like, now in season 3 of The Next Generation, that's where you really get to know Picard, right? That's what I sound like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Let's talk about craft beer. Let's talk about one of my all-time favorite breweries. Haven't talked about these guys in a long time. We used to have their beers on all the time because I would get these great bottled beers from Bear Bottled Brewing Company, and then they switched to cans, and we haven't had them on since. But they return in a can today with another IPA, and it is called
Secret Truth of the Universe.
I love these
Hazy
guys.
IPA.
Yeah.
Coming in at 6.7 ABV, contains lactose.
Interesting.
Smooth, juicy, citrus-packed Secret Truth serum. I love the word serum.
Yeah. I also love this IPA.
And elixir.
I love this IPA. This is fantastic.
Bear Bottle Brewing Company coming in San Francisco, California.
I don't know. You know, often when they add lactose to a beer, I actually wind up not liking it as much. There's something about it that, I don't know, just gives it a texture or something that I'm not really going for.
They put the
in this
brewer's
case, this
recipe on
totally works. They've always done that with Bear Bottle.
Yeah.
Even back when they were in the bottles, they did that. They put the
They give you
recipe
all the
in.
vitals. They tell you the water and yeast stuff. They tell you the grains they use.
Dude, this beer is fantastic.
It's pretty darn
Are
good.
you liking this as much as I am?
Dude, the amount of
It's
hops in here.
Yeah.
Strata, Eldorado, Cashmere, another Strata, Eldorado, Cashmere, Amarillo, Cryo, Citra Cryo, and Simcoe Cryo.
Wow. You're right. That's a lot of hops. But it all blends
All the
together.
hops.
It's-
I get it. Okay, so Strata, Eldorado, and Cashmere are the first hop, and then the dry hop is Strata, Eldorado, Cashmere, Amarillo, Cryo, Citra Cryo, and Simcoe Cryo.
I'm telling you, they got the balance perfect. Smooth, juicy, citrus-packed Secret Truth serum is what they call it on the can. And
It's
I'm
pretty
telling you,
delicious.
but see, all of their beers have been good. Remember, we've had, I bet we've had half a dozen Bear Bottle, although it's been a while, and they've always been good. Always. These guys, if you can find their beers, they are definitely worth taking a chance on. And I don't know if they do anything as regular production. I think they may be like the brewery that we used to
Like
have.
Ingenious
here,
was,
Ingenious,
or,
where it was just so many.
What's the one from
different
Austin that
things.
we also have here? Is no, I'm blanking on it now. But
I'll think about it while I sip on a little more of this Secrets of the Universe. What is it? Secret of the Universe? Secret Truth of the
Secret
Universe.
Truth of the Universe.
It's a hazy IPA that is rocking my world.
Man, so you always mention that I'm not really the IPA guy, and that's a little bit true because I kind of burned out on IPAs early.
Well,
like, I
it was
really
easy to do
enjoy
that,
a good balanced IPA, but then when the IPA wars, when the hop wars happened, I kind of just was like, I'm tired of feeling like I just got pine cones stuck in my teeth, you know?
When we return, one soldier's journal from during the hop wars. We'll be right back. Welcome back, my friends. It is Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Yes, we do. And speaking of fine spirits, we're going to be tasting some tequila in this segment of the program. It is an Anejo tequila from a company called Santera, not to be confused with Santeria, and it is they're out of Jalisco, Mexico, which of course is appropriate for that. That's where tequila should be from. Darn it! So while Ian pours us some tequila, I want to talk to you about some cigars to watch for. There's a new El Rey del Mundo that's headed to retailers, and it's made by a prominent producer of Honduran cigars. Brand owner Scandinavian Tobacco Group has turned to JRE Tobacco Company to make the latest version of its El Rey del Mundo brand. Now, El Rey del Mundo has been around for years. It's one of those brands that I think of as not an El Cheapo, but just being a little cheaper. You know, it's
more budget friendly. I wouldn't say it's a total budget brand.
Right, exactly.
But it's definitely more budget friendly.
Yeah, it's not an El Cheapo, but it's definitely more budget conscious for sure. Anyway, this will be the latest version of El Rey del Mundo, and it's a limited edition called King of the World, as in, I'm the King of the World. King of the world. The regally themed cigar began shipping to retailers earlier last week. It consists entirely of Honduran tobacco grown by the Arroyo family on their farms in the Jamastran Valley. And you, of course, and I have been there.
We've seen those farms.
Yes.
That's awesome.
King of the World is rolled with a Corojo binder in between a Habano seed wrapper and a Habano seed filler, which is a first for El Rey del Mundo, and that brand comes in one size. It's a Toro, and a suggested retail price of $9.99 each. The name is self-referencing because El Rey del Mundo translates to the Rey del Mundo.
That's right.
Or more specifically, the King of the World. So that's what it means. According to the company, it's a medium-bodied blend, and it is made at the Arroyo's factory, which, again, you and I have had a chance to
restaurant
visit.
not too far from my house called El Rey de Pollo. It always makes me think of that.
The Rey de Pollo?
El Rey de Pollo.
Oh, okay. I like it. Alec Bradley has added a spinoff to their popular St. Patrick's Day smokes. You and I have both had the Filthy Hooligan.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Shamrock. Now there's a limited edition one-size barber pole created by Alec Bradley called the Alec Bradley Black Market Filthy Gooligan. You see what they did there?
I'm picking up.
Yeah. So it's to celebrate the spooky Halloween season. Their St. Patrick's Day releases, of course, are well known to cigar smokers because of the barber pole construction.
They're
with
fantastic
the
cigars too, and and because of that barber pole, you get a very unique flavor.
Yeah.
from them,
It's wonderful. But the
really
Filthy
nice.
Gooligan has a darker twist. It uses an Ecuador Habano and United States broadleaf wrappers.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the rest of the blend is made up of Indonesian binder and filler tobacco from the core growing regions in Nicaragua, along with Dominican Piloto Cubano, which is one of the better, I think, tobaccos coming out of the Dominican Republic. Anyway, it's pretty exciting. They're going to be intended to be medium bodied, according to the Alec Bradley folks. Made in Honduras, and they're available in a one size Toro, which will be 6x50, and they'll be about $14 each. Suggested retail price.
I'll buy that.
Yeah, I probably.
By the
will
way,
too.
do you like vanilla?
I do enjoy vanilla. It's actually, I believe it was the Bare Naked Ladies who once said that vanilla is the finest of the flavors, and I think they were probably
Bare
right.
Naked Ladies.
Yeah, it's a Bare Naked Ladies quote
prophets
for
of
those
our
keeping
time.
score at home. I don't know. You didn't see that coming, and neither did I.
You never know. That's the whole thing about the show. You never know what we're going to do because we don't know what we're going to do.
You never know. We were talking about Bare Naked Ladies, and boom.
We bust out the Madden impersonation.
That was like the worst Madden impersonation I've ever done, and I've done some bad ones. So I apologize to the Madden family.
Christopher Walken.
Back to tequila.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of madness is this when I have to rein the show in? What is going on here?
Something has gone.
I'm usually the one derailing it.
Something has gone terribly wrong. Is what it means. That's what it means. I do enjoy vanilla, and
this has a lot of vanilla.
Now it has some pepper on the nose.
It does. Well, it's got classic, almost like Very classic, peppery, like Hornitos, almost like the very classic, bold, peppery tequila.
Yeah. If you
but
like
lots of vanilla.
If you like peppery tequila, Hornitos Anejo is so peppery, but it's not expensive at all. You can pick up a bottle very reasonably.
It's quite good, yeah.
And it's quite good, but you have to like pepper. This, I agree with you. This reminds me of that, but it's got massive vanilla notes on top of that.
Massive vanilla notes right after it, and a little tannic kind of flavor going on right after that.
You don't get the vanilla on the nose.
The
You just
oak
get the pepper.
astringency that follows up is huge on this. What's the age? Is there an age statement on this?
I do not know.
Just
It's an
Anejo.
Anejo, so that means it has to be like 3 days, I think. Is the way that the tequila aging works. I do enjoy
kinda hovered a barrel
the
over it, that was
artwork on this. I think is kind of cool. You've got the
that's pretty awesome.
you got the cool looking woman there, but surrounded by skeleton faces and some really interesting looking Day of the Dead style art there. Not
It's like
colorful
someone sitting
Day of
in the
Dead.
tunnels under what is it, Italy?
Yeah, or the tunnels underneath downtown Houston, perhaps.
Yeah, right.
I think there's could be some of that. I enjoy this. Now, I will say, it is not as subtle as some tequilas that I've tried. But if you like pepper, if you like vanilla,
What's the price point on this?
$44 a bottle.
All right, so for $44, this I believe would make, and don't hate me on this, but one of the best tequila mixers. Because the
It'd be a
flavors
little
are
expensive
so
for a
bold.
mixer.
Yes, it is a little
Because-
expensive for a mixer.
So when I make margaritas,
but
I,
it's
I
so
use,
bold
I
with
use-
the pepper, and it's
yes.
so bold with the vanilla.
When I make cocktails with tequila, I use the Alamo Reposado, and it's
Yeah.
$44, but it's for twice that size.
Yeah, for the
Right.
combat bottle.
So this
right.
would be a more expensive way to do it, but you're right. It might make some good.
I feel like this could be like an almost destination tequila when it comes to mixing, because it is so bold and it's so interesting and it's fine by itself. But man, can you imagine taking that pepper and that vanilla and that oak into account when you're mixing something really interesting, or even in a nice fresh made? And I'm not talking about fresh made from mix. I'm talking about like you squeeze the lime,
Right, you squeeze the lime
kind of
yourself.
margarita.
You know what I get to thinking about this is that it would be good in cocktails that call for whiskey. So in other words, if you were to make like a Manhattan or a sidecar
you could
and
always
use this
sub it,
instead
yeah.
of whiskey, it would be a really interesting variation on it because it's got enough heft to it.
It doesn't. It's not like some that we've had that are aged that drink more whiskey. Like this does not drink whiskey. Like this is unapologetically tequila.
Yes.
Agree.
Absolutely
But
tequila.
but what I think about it is it's got enough punch to it
Yeah,
that it could substitute
because
for whiskey and a whiskey cocktail.
sometimes the aged tequilas can be a lot more subtle and a lot more sweet. And
I mean, I
things like
think
that.
of even Skelly is a lot more subtle
Yeah.
than this, and a lot more just sweet and goes down smooth. This kind of lets you know it's a tequila. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I do not hold that against it because I like tequila.
You could pour this on this Tres Leches cake we were talking about earlier. That would be pretty amazing.
Now, Tres Leches cake often has rum in the mix.
True.
But this would work.
Yeah.
This would totally work.
Interesting. I'm going to try this IPA after I just drank that.
Now, I don't know how that will. Excuse me. I don't know how that's going to work.
Oh, that's horrific.
Horrific.
Horrific. Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Have you ever brushed your teeth and then drank orange juice?
That's kind of what that's like.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's kind of what that's like. Well, I'm glad in a way that happened because so often we try our spirit and then we go back to the beer and we're like, oh my God, it's so good. So this just shows that, this isn't planned.
Although back and forth needed.
When you
today.
go back the other way, you almost get a chocolatey note at the end of the tequila, which is really interesting.
Oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know what made that happen.
Yeah.
You got one wrong way and one right way.
But you pay the price going in the direction from
Direction,
tequila to beer, but going back the other way, it's
So here's the plan. If you're having this beer, plan to go to tequila after, but do not come back.
do not come back.
Finish your beer. Finish your beer, and then you can come back. And
It's always worth a try. You never know. Like sometimes you'll find a spirit and a beer like that really pair well.
Well, you're absolutely right.
This
And-
does not pair well.
Yeah, and for an example of that is, most rye whiskeys and IPAs pair beautifully.
Yeah.
Pair beautifully. And honestly, almost any rum or whiskey will pair with a good stout or
porter
or porter. Yeah,
or
exactly.
barley wine or
Exactly.
those
So, so
super malty type beers.
by the way,
So we're talking about this, and I've drank almost everything I've poured right now, and it's actually just good. I really kind of like it's like a fresh, green kind of oaky flavor to it. And I don't mean green in a bad way,
right?
But like a fresh new oak flavor that this has,
Right. Not necessarily aged, matured oak,
right?
but
Or
more
charred
like
oak. It doesn't have a charred
right. Agreed.
note to it. It tastes like new oak, like a new oak barrel. Does it say anything on here? It says nope, doesn't say anything about it.
I think New Oak, isn't that a boy band? New Oak, I believe it could be. Hey, I wanted to mention this. We have just a moment here left in the segment. I wanted to mention this because I really like Kyle Gellis and Warped Cigars. I like their cigars a lot, and I like Kyle even more because they have now released. It's going to be released in November. A sentimental epitaph to man's best friend with Sarto. It's a new line they're creating in memory of the brand owner, Kyle Gallis's late dog, Cane Corso. They're going to honor the powerful bond that they once had. It'll also be the strongest cigar that Warped has ever produced. Kyle says, dogs are a very big part of my family. He says, I want to pay homage to Sarto, who had a very special place not only in my family's heart, but also the entire team at Warped in the office. Santo suffered from idiopathic epilepsy, which meant he needed an extreme amount of daily oversight, so he would come to the office with me every day. He was loved by the entire team at Warped HQ, who got to see me and spend time with him daily throughout his life. The Sarto cigar will be made in 3 sizes: a double Corona, a Toro, and a 5x50 Robusto. It'll come in 14-count boxes and is made in Nicaragua, which is a first for Warped, by the way.
I like Warped.
Yeah.
And I'll buy it just for that story on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 100%.
I'm just such a dog lover. My wife and I had a greyhound.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away it's been 6 months ago now. It just feels like it was just yesterday. And we have not replaced her. We probably won't because we're talking about wanting to be able to travel a little more and stuff. But I am just absolutely obsessed with dogs. In my building, if I get on the elevator with a dog, like that's the happiest elevator ride ever. If someone's been out walking their dog. And I want to just mention, because we have just a moment left in this segment, anybody who is not watching this on YouTube, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but there's a YouTube channel called We Rate Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And they do the greatest countdown of their top 10 dogs of the week. It is beautiful. It's wondrous. Sometimes it'll make you cry, and it's just an awesome thing. And they raise tons of money for dogs who are in need of different health care and stuff.
That's awesome.
So they can be adopted. So We Rate Dogs on YouTube. Check them out. They are not paying me. I don't even know any of the people connected with it. I just think they do wonderful work. So there you go. Thanks for letting me detour into dogs. But hey, Warped Cigars. I'll be supporting them for their dog themed cigar.
100%. They're not the only ones. Guardian of the Farm and a few others too.
Just had a Guardian of the Farm cigar this last week.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it very much. We got to take a break. Man, this is pretty good tequila.
This is good tequila.
We'll be right back. It's Smoking Toast. Love that sound. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toast, and our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits like tequila, and hand-rolled cigars. Yeah. This Santera tequila is quite good. A little different from some of the tequilas we've had on the show, but definitely a good one. Definitely a good one.
Your $40-something is not going to go to waste here.
Yeah. No, it's definitely that'll become consumed. As you can see, a small part of it actually already was before you even brought it on the show.
Well, you made sure that you cleared the top, so we didn't have any
I'm safety conscious.
Plastic cuts from opening the top of this, and then you cleared the necks to help alleviate spillage issues.
Yeah, right.
By the way, it's not working, but
there's still been some spillage, huh? I'm sorry about that. So there are 16 bars on this list from Food and Wine of the best bars in the United States. I want to share this list with you, so let me run over these real quick. I think you'll enjoy this. There's a bar in Austin, Texas.
Is one of them the Double Down in Vegas? Because that's a heck of a bar.
I don't know. We'll see.
Sorry, go ahead.
I haven't been over the whole list. But number 16 is Water Trade in Austin, Texas. It is widely revered among Austin's cocktail community, and it has garnered global significance. It is an intimate Japanese-style standing bar.
I've heard of this, actually. Now that you said that, yes. Okay, I've heard of it.
Very interesting. Number 15 on the list is After, a bar from Chicago that is described as, is it a chic dinner lounge or an elevated cocktail parlor, rather? The answer is yes. After in Chicago. So you may want to put these on your bucket list, like to try to visit a few of these if you're traveling, because after all,
we should do like a best bar in every state tour.
Ooh, that would be fun. There's a bar in Philadelphia called Anejo. Now, I lived in Philadelphia. Anejo did not exist when I was there, but they say it's a proper drinks lounge, pure and simple. The aesthetic, clean yet warm, formal yet approachable. Okay, there you go. Anejo, number 14. Youngblood in San Diego is number 13 on the list. The most exclusive bar in San Diego, they say, is like a speakeasy within a speakeasy. You have to secure reservations in advance because there are only a handful of seats, but they say it's well worth the effort. So, fascinating. The Violet Hour in Chicago is bar number 12 on this list. Wicker Park's original craft cocktail destination, still going strong after more than 15 years in the spotlight.
So I want to point out some of these bars that are like this, they're exclusive and they're expensive, and I feel like that's good for a date, but I don't feel like if me and you were like, man, let's go get a good cocktail, that we
necessarily go there.
I don't think me and you going there would be
let's see
the thing.
Let's see what you think of number 11 on the list. Julep in Houston, Texas.
I was just there 2 nights ago.
And we're going to be there soon doing a special show, aren't we? Yeah. They say at Julep, the cocktails rely on less commonly found ingredients like marigold leaves and baked apples. They're served with artful garnishes and priced for repeated consumption. My favorite part of that is the last line, priced for repeated consumption.
Well, you can say that. Now, I want to point out, and I like Julep, and I enjoyed my time there tremendously. Mm-hmm. My wife got mixed drinks. She got a couple different ones that were outrageous. I drank whiskey because I had great whiskey. And a buddy of mine was with me, and he drank beer and whiskey. We were there, and this is no joke. We were there for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And my tab was $160.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So,
price for repeated consumption may be stretching it a little.
Well, just know what you're going in for, because was it worth it? Yeah, I didn't rue it. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah. We
went in, my wife was happy. I enjoyed the whiskey that I had.
Yes.
And my friend enjoyed his whiskey and beer, and it was fine. I expected that, but it's not inexpensive.
La Factoria in San Juan, Puerto Rico is number 10 on the list. Kumiko in Chicago is number 9 on the list, which I'll just point out, there's been 3 Chicago bars. There hasn't been one New York bar yet on the list, but 3 from Chicago. Okay, no sooner do I say that. Martini's in New York City
you go, next one
is number 8. Martini's, by the way, is spelled Martiny'. So it might be Martinis. I don't know. As long as it's not, because I had this boss once that I despised, that she used to call them Martunis. And then thought she was so freaking clever by saying Martunis. And I
had
thought
a boss
she was
one
so
time that
freaking
drove
stupid.
me nuts because he just couldn't pronounce certain words. Like there's a thing that happens to wood called spalted, and he always called it splonted. I was like, dude, it's called spalted.
It's like Trump. Number 7 is Chez Zhao in New York City. Number 6 is, I've been to this one, Jewel of the South in New Orleans. That is a great bar.
Haven't been
It's
there.
the modern reimagining of a classic 19th century New Orleans tavern. It's everything you want from the Big Easy, they say, under one roof. Got to check it out. Café La Trova in Miami is number 5 on the list. Allegory, which I've also been to in Washington, D.C., is on the list, and it is really, really cool. That's number 4.
You know, one of the things that makes me happy when I go into a bar, when I go into a bar that doesn't have TVs.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of these don't, by the way, based on the pictures that
If
I've
I
seen.
want to watch TV, I'm going to go to a sports bar.
Yes, and
then I
that's fine.
expect the TV.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I go
Maybe
into
big ones.
when I
and
go
lot
into
of
a
them.
pub,
Yeah, I'm with you. Number 3 on the list, and I like it just because of its name, Double Chicken Please in New York City.
double chicken.
Number 2, also in New York City. So forget about my thing about
Your
saying New York.
statement
wasn't
about New York
represented.
City.
Yeah, Katana Kitten is number 2.
Oh, wow.
And number 1 on the list, also from New York, Super Bueno, which I'm down just because of the name.
Super
I'm
Bueno.
in. I'm totally in.
But not Lolo's from Houston.
We got to take a break. No, drinking news is next, and not, well, a lot of dive bars I could mention. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And I just got to say, as a proud Houstonian, I'm thrilled that Julep was in that list. Houston
I am
often
too.
gets overlooked when it comes to lists
and
like that.
Julep was a beautiful place. It was
Yeah.
so fun. And It was so nice. And we happened to be across the street. We were at Platypus Brewing,
I like Platypus, yeah.
which has great food and and great beer. And we were over there, and we're like, and Tiffany goes, "You know what? I just looked at Google, and it says that this is the least busy that they've ever been on a Friday night."
Let's
And we went
go.
over there, and I just wanted to let you know that the least busy they've ever been was pretty darn busy.
Pretty packed, yeah. Gotcha.
But man, it was
Thank
great.
you, Google. Yeah.
And it was great. The wait staff there will do anything for you. The bar staff, our bartender, so we were at a standing area only for a little bit.
Yeah.
We got our drinks, and then 3 chairs at the bar opened up, so we moved over to the bar. The bartender was fantastic. Tiffany was just picking his brain about everything, and he just was you could tell. Sometimes you get a bartender who's putting up with it. This guy was absolutely having a blast just talking about it and having fun. And he's making drinks and doing his thing.
I love it. We're going to do our thing, too. It's time for drinking news.
Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
Oh, I kind of miss Keegan.
And shout out to Keegan Lucas.
Right?
We miss him. Yeah, so he used to be around here all the time. Now, not so much. Well, welcome to Drinking News. It's the portion of the program where we bring you a story from the news. It's not from a parody site. It's from the actual news somewhere. And it is a story that is often, but not always, about drinking.
Very happy beer.
I think we have some paper towels somewhere. Often, but not always, about drinking, but it is always best enjoyed if you've been drinking. And today's drinking news story is no exception to that. And we've been drinking, by the way, and we'll continue to do so. So, being a normal citizen,
A normie, if you will.
a normie, yep, it can be frustrating. I mean, we all pay taxes. And let's face it, there's
Speak
serious
for yourself.
serious
I mean,
penalties if we don't, right? Yeah. And yet, even though we cough up our hard-earned dollars every April, it feels like we don't get much say in how that money is spent. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or other, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that some stuff the government spends our tax dollars on are, to use a legal term, freaking ridiculous.
Wait, do you suppose that our tax dollars are spent on the FDA suing?
Yeah, suing to try to control cigars. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm paying on both sides of that.
Again, I'll use the legal term. Freaking ridiculous.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
For example, in the past 15 years, members of the U.S. Senate have, not even the House of Representatives, this is just the Senate, have spent a total of $5.25 million of our tax money on hair care products. And you know what?
What?
I've seen their hair. This would be the factual, scientific definition of government waste.
You mean, but they're combing and fixing their hair before they put it on, right?
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently so. You want another? The federal government spent $25,000 on a promotional tour for the Alabama Watermelon Queen. I think that one pretty much speaks for itself. 25 grand.
That was enlightening.
Yeah. And finally, the U.S. National Institutes of Health spent let me get this number right, $442,340 to study the behavior of male prostitutes in Vietnam.
That is $400,000 more than I have in my bank account.
Yeah. And not for nothing,
Male prostitute.
but I'm pretty sure the answer is they have sex for money.
Yeah.
There, I just saved you 400 grand.
I remember early on in this show, we had a Captain Obvious moment where we were talking about Captain Obvious statements, and one of them was that the United States government and the FDA spent something in the neighborhood of near $2 million to find out that people under the age of 18 don't smoke
Premium
cigars.
Yeah. I could have saved them a lot of money.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, look, I understand that we all need to pay taxes to keep the country running. We need the military. We need police and fire protection. And quite frankly, I'm a fan of our national parks. But maybe instead of some of the wasteful stuff, federal, state, and local government could spend a little time doing things that would help us all.
Well, I mean, if you cut away their hair products, then they're going to get on that closed circuit TV that we watch with the House of
Representatives, or whatever.
Representatives, and then their hair is not going to be done.
I like representatives better. That's cooler, I think.
May have been drinking.
Yeah. But honestly, they could spend a little time doing things that would help us instead of paying for hair care products, right? Things that would help us. Like, for example, fixing the damn potholes in our streets.
You don't understand, though. They're not paid to do things that help us. They're paid to talk about it.
Well, admittedly, potholes in some areas are worse than others.
Richmond,
but just about anywhere you live, it seems like a pothole has to literally swallow somebody's car.
Yes. That's what they used to call me when I was a dancer.
Do something about it. Pothole? Or swallow somebody's car. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? It seems like a pothole has to start eating cars, basically, before they actually do anything.
Like one of those, how many wrecks do you have to have before you put a stop sign?
When you lose a wheel to a pothole, come on.
I mean, I've seen potholes go unfilled for years in a number of the places I've lived, and I have even blown out a tire, like you were saying, by running over one I did not see. Tires, by the way, are freaking expensive. When did tires get so expensive?
Yes, they are.
But a man in Manchester, in the United Kingdom, has come up with a wildly creative way to get the potholes in his town fixed faster. A Manchester man. And actually, it's genius. This anonymous man, who refers to himself as Wanksy, has become a bit of an artist. By using industrial chalk, which he points out is not vandalism because it disappears in a week or two, Wanksy is getting the potholes in the areas where he lives filled right away. Just by drawing penises around them. And it seems that every time Wanksy draws a penis around a pothole, it gets fixed in just a number of days. The town council now, unsurprisingly, says the work is both unnecessary and obscene, claiming that a penis frame will not get a pothole fixed any faster than usual. But somehow, these penis potholes continue to get filled at a rapid pace. Honestly, I think this guy should be nominated for some kind of prize.
Genius.
Yeah.
A Nobel Prize
I
or
think
a
we should bring him over to Houston for a little while.
Pulitzer, or at the very least, an AVN award. Those are the ones that are given out to actors and producers of porn.
Wait, what is that?
Or so I'm told. Yeah. So, in any event, here at Drinking News, we think that Wanksy is something of a hero. And just for good measure, if you're watching the video version of the show,
Pothole.
here's an example of his artistry. And I put one on my iPad to show.
Oh, that's
you guys.
pretty amazing.
That's the Wanksy
That's
pot.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel
a
like you
picture's
did a
worth
good
1,000 words, right?
Yes,
That's-
exactly. Something like that. Again, genius. In fact, I was so moved by the artistic ability of Mr. Wanksy that it has actually inspired me. Now, I'm no good with drawing and art. As
You
he
don't
is.
like to do drawings?
Drawings. So inspiration for me is most often expressed in the form of a poem or a bit of prose. And so now, despite the objections of several prominent mental health associations, I would like to share this poetry with you here. A little poetry reading music, if I could. And it goes a little something like this. The potholes remain for so long, and the town council's claims are just wrong. But they're filled right away in sometimes just a day, when around them one man draws a schlong. Reporting live from Manchester.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Hold on. I'm going to do the drinking news song, but I got to wipe this tear from my eye. That was.
I'm
Go
glad.
ahead.
I'm
I'm
glad.
sorry.
I'm glad that had the kind of impact on you that I was hoping that
That
it
touched
would.
me, and kind of like I'll show you on the doll in a little while.
Reporting live from.
The no-no square.
Okay, you totally got me on that. That's good. Reporting live from Manchester, where I'm looking to draw an image of my own manhood around a pothole. If I can find one big enough. My name is Cruz, and that is your...
Drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, all. Some potholes are very small. And it just doesn't have the same sort of... you know what I'm saying, right?
I'm picking up what you're laying down, man.
Yeah, you digging from whence I'm rapping.
I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
All right, so I'm really enjoying this. I have noticed that the sort of more intense peppery heat of this tequila kind of diminishes a little as you stay with it.
Yes. You get
Am
more
I
of the
right?
sweetness, actually.
Yeah, right. You more of the sweetness, more of the vanilla.
But you have to persevere. You have to do like we've done, where you actually keep going back to it.
I think of myself as being rather brave in this area.
I mean, it's a bit like a sugar cookie after a while.
Yeah.
It's really
You
pretty
stay
good.
with us. A little on the snickerdoodle side of life. Okay. We also have a little beer to taste. And this is what's interesting is that very often, by the time we get to our final beer, which is usually a stout or a porter or a barley wine or something of that nature, more often than not, usually by the time we get to it, it's something that comes to us in a large, bomber style
or
bottle. Sure.
A 2-can stack kind of thing.
In this case, it's just a single 12-ounce can from the people at Brazos Valley Brewing in Brenham.
This is brewed in
Texas.
Brenham.
Yeah.
Good time and beer.
And this is their Big Spoon Tres Leches Stout.
On the nose, I get coffee.
I get coffee. That's what I get.
like
It's
a
all
ton of coffee
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
nose.
All coffee.
Tres
Are you
Leches doesn't make
getting
me
a call
think-
about your
No Leches.
your car warranty?
No. Actually, it was some guy named his initials were PS, potential spam.
Spam risk?
Yeah. So
Oh my goodness! Have you tried this?
no,
I'm
I've
trying
only
it now.
I've only
Okay.
sniffed it.
So it is all coffee on the nose. Okay. Mm-hmm. When you take a sip, it is coffee and cake.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it is a Tres Leches Stout, so that makes sense to me. Tres Leches, by the way, means 3 milks in Spanish, and that's what the Tres Tres Leches
That
cake
roasted
is all
malt
about.
is so good in there. And I don't know if I would, if I was blindfolded, I don't think I could peg this as Tres Leches,
Yeah, I know.
although I get that cake
Yeah.
kind of flavor in there, and I get the lactose as well, but it's so coffee forward too.
Yeah.
It really is coffee oriented.
It's so much coffee, and Tres Leches is usually not coffee flavored. Like
No,
that.
but Tres Leches with coffee.
Oh yeah, there you
I mean,
go.
come on. A milk stout brewed with more than a spoonful of vanilla beans and love. Let it envelope you with its comforting flavors, and it slowly prods you as it slowly prods flavors. As it slowly prods you to give its pleasure. I don't know what I'm saying.
Sounds
I love
erotic.
Yeah, it does. It does. Sounds a little erotic.
They're a little erotic.
It's
And there's a little
prodding you to
Texas-
give you pleasure.
Yeah.
There's a little Texas. Well, there's a little Texas map on here, and it shows Houston and College Station and Austin, and then in between, kind of all three, is right there Brenham with a big
Yeah.
star. So you have an idea where you are.
Yeah, you are here, sort of a map.
You see what I did there?
I do.
But we all
Made
know
it
that
all
because of
rhyme.
Bluebell.
Yeah, exactly. Bluebell ice cream comes from Brenham,
Yeah.
Texas.
It does.
And you've known that since you were a kid.
Where
And
they
you grew
eat
up
all
in
they
it.
can, and they sell the rest. So this is delicious, though. It's actually really, really nice.
It is. It's a little more coffee forward than I would have expected,
I
given
like
the name.
coffee
but
beers,
it's
though.
delicious.
The best coffee beer I even know of also comes from Texas. Is Real Ale Coffee Porter is outrageously good, and that is super
So
nice.
good. Real Ale coffee porter. Wow. It's good. And have you remember we had on the show the French press from St. Arnold? I mean, if you want to get into
Yes.
a real coffee porter,
Straight up coffee.
yeah, that's pretty serious.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I just took a sip of the tequila after trying the coffee forward stout, and it erases all of the pepper.
It sure does. Oh my goodness. Now we're back to just vanilla notes
Literally
in
becomes
this.
a sugar cookie at this point.
Wow. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back to discuss this further. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And I just want to mention, we talked about this a little in the last segment, but when you drink this beer, this Tres Leches Stout from Brazos Valley Brewing, and you go back to the tequila,
I'm doing this
it
now.
really becomes a chocolate bomb. Mm-hmm. There's vanilla still there for sure. Like you said, the pepper almost disappears completely.
Yeah, the pepper
But
almost
there's a
disappears.
chocolate.
It's interesting.
It's almost
You
like
get
a
tons
Tootsie
of
Roll.
vanilla and chocolate then at that point in time.
Do
When
ever
you go
have-
back to the beer, it also turns the beer back into a chocolate bomb.
Have you ever had a vanilla Tootsie Roll?
The what?
A vanilla Tootsie Roll?
A vanilla Tootsie Roll? I
It
don't
comes in
think I
those
have.
flavored ones,
Yeah.
you know.
I've had the
flavored
strawberry one
Reminds me.
before. That's
Strawberry
kinda good.
Tootsie Rolls are awesome.
Yeah, that's
actually.
pretty good.
I don't even know why that is good, but it is. Real quick, I want to share this list with you from the spirits business. These are 10 of the best bourbon releases from last year. These are bourbons that came
All
out
right.
last year. All right. And they found them to be pretty darn good. Wild Turkey Generations is the first one.
Wild Turkey anything, I'm already a fan.
Wild Turkey Generations, though, is $450 a bottle.
Haven't tried it, but I'm already a fan because
fan?
Wild
Yeah.
Turkey anything, I'm already a fan.
Angel's Envy Cask Strength.
Yes.
Yes. Rebel 100 Bourbon Cabernet Sauvignon Barrel Finish.
No idea. I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, $54.50 the price, and they say U.S. bourbon fans unfortunately couldn't get their hands on this international exclusive. Those in the U.K., Australia, and Germany were treated to something entirely new. So there you go. Jefferson's Tropics, aged in humidity, finished in Singapore. Jefferson's Tropics. This is the one they put on the boat, and it.
Well, that's oceans.
Okay, so not
So the
this particular
tropics
one.
is sent down to the tropics and then aged
All right.
in a much different place.
This is a $100 bottle, and this is their new series that pits whiskey against different climates, with Singapore taking 720 barrels of this matured Kentucky bourbon to the tropics of Southeast Asia for 18 months of aging in non-climate controlled warehouses.
That's so interesting, right?
Yeah, yeah. Remus Highest Rye Bourbon. It's a $76 bottle.
Have heard of, hadn't tried.
Buffalo Trace Experimental Peated Bourbon.
I would love to try that. I've never even heard of it.
It's the 26th release in the Buffalo Trace experimental
I bet that's
collection.
incredibly hard to find.
I would guess so. It's about $47 per bottle. Smith Bowman Cask Strength Bourbon Batch number 3.
Don't know anything about it.
How about Maker's Mark Cellar Aged?
Maker's Mark. So good.
Trifecta Blue Run Bourbon.
Don't know that one.
Eagle Rare 17-year.
I haven't tried the 17-year.
Well, Eagle Rare itself is so freaking good. It's hard
Eagle
to
Rare
like.
is great, yeah.
It's hard to even imagine improving on that. But that's the last one on the list. I thought you might enjoy if I shared those with you.
That's pretty amazing.
Again, these are things that came out in 2023, so you might or might not find them.
Yeah, I never even heard of the Buffalo Trace, but I mean, I'm assuming that's incredibly difficult to find. Same thing. Eagle Rare by itself is incredibly difficult to find.
So to
and
find
when
an even more rare Eagle Rare.
Well, I mean, so let me give you a caveat on here. Eagle Rare is not hard to find if you're willing to pay double or 3 times what it's worth.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
because that's secondary market. And there's a lot of stores that I go into that'll have Eagle Rare and E.H. Taylor and a lot of those allocated things on the shelf, but they are blatantly putting it up at secondary market. And I just refuse to play that game.
So you bought me, was it Christmas last year? You bought me a bottle of Eagle Rare, which is long gone, by the way.
Yes.
And it was fantastic. Like it was just
it
was
great
such
whiskey.
an enjoyable whiskey. But were you able to find that at a non-allocated, non-secondary market price?
Yes. So occasionally you'll run across a person who owns a store who sells it at retail because that's what it's supposed to go for.
Right.
Legally, that's what it's supposed to go for. And if you find the right retail and you make some kind of relationship with the person there, at least get to know them, they know you're a good customer. Then when those things come in, I mean, they know what they have.
Right,
they know they could make more money on it. But it's kind of greasy when you start taking a $40 bottle of whiskey, and you say, "Hey, I'm going to charge you $130 for this," and I just refuse to do that. But there's a guy that's not too far from me that him and a friend of mine got to be buddy, and by proxy, because I go in his store pretty often, he got to know me, and so occasionally when he comes across those things, he'll let me know. And he goes, "Hey, do you want this?" And sometimes I pass. Sometimes I already have a bottle because I want someone else to have a chance.
See, that's good.
Right.
That's bringing back customers.
But when I can, I'm gonna come snap it up when I can at retail value, and that's like I said, I just refuse to do it. I'm never going to resell mine.
It was a great gift, I can tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. Mine are for gifts or mine are for drinking. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
But if you want to check out this list of the best bourbon releases from 2023, you can find this list at thespiritsbusiness.com. And speaking, by the way, of giving credit where it's due, our music for the Beverage of Mystery comes from Shane Ivers at chosic.com. It's called The Visitor. Thank you, Shane, for letting us use that. Well, this has been a fun show. And, most of the shows where we get to drink really good spirits are fun shows.
Yes.
But this has definitely been one of those. So I want to thank you guys for being here and being a part of it. Julep, the bar in Houston, Texas that made that list that we gave you earlier of the top bars in the United States. We're going to be there soon and be doing a show from there soon. That's just a few weeks away. So
that's pretty exciting.
About that. Yeah, excited about that. Anything else you want to let us know about that's coming up?
Ooh, we're going to have a comedian coming on pretty soon. I want to get some more whiskeys and some more things. And also, I think it's been a while. I think we need to get our tequila expert back on.
Does this comedian think that they're funnier than me?
Well, we're gonna stare at them deadpan and be like, "Say something funny."
That's good. That's a great
comedians
strategy.
never
it's a
get
great
that.
strategy for getting a comedian to be good.
We've seen this guy before, actually.
Yeah.
And he's funny, and we'll have a good time with it. We're gonna talk to Barry about getting on the show, and Barry Lamanik, if you want to look him up.
Cool. Looking forward to it and looking forward to next week's show. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for being a part of Smoking and Toasting. And as we like to say, cheers, y'all.
When she goes, no one knows.